All right, today we're jumping into something that could totally change how you see everyone around you. It's called the Animal Behavior Map, and it's a real game changer. So let's get right into it.
You know how it is, right? We've all done it. You see someone who's, I don't know, super loud and aggressive, or maybe the opposite, really quiet and withdrawn, and bam, you've made up your mind about them. But what if we're getting it all wrong? I mean, what if that behavior isn't really about who they are, but it's all about how they learn to survive?
And this is where things get really interesting, because it's all about a massive shift in perspective. Just imagine for a second you had this kind of superpower, like X-ray vision, but instead of bones, you could see the childhood stuff that made someone who they are today. All of a sudden, that colleague who seems so aggressive, you might not see an adult jerk. You might see a little kid who swore they'd never be bullied again. See? It changes everything.
Okay, so where does this all come from? Well, a huge chunk of our adult behavior is just an echo of patterns we burned into our brains when we were kids. Think of it like this. We were all running on this super basic but incredibly powerful software program, and that program was designed for just one thing: survival. And this little program, it's built on 3 core drives, and the order here is absolutely crucial. Number 1, the top priority, stay safe. That means avoiding anything that hurts: pain, danger, conflict, you name it. Then, number 2, get along. We're social animals, right? We need to fit in to belong to our group. And finally, number 3, get rewarded. That could be anything from food to praise to just that good feeling of a job well done. These 3 things, in that order, are the building blocks for the behaviors we're still using today.
Let me give you a really clear example. Let's call her Emily. When Emily was a little kid, maybe her dad was always busy, and she noticed that the only time she got his full attention was when she was sick or got hurt. So her brain creates this simple but super powerful equation: getting hurt equals getting attention and love. Fast forward, and now she's an adult, and she doesn't even realize it, but she's still running that script. She uses complaints, maybe talks about how she's been wronged, all to get that connection she craves, even though that old strategy just doesn't work anymore.
So the big question is, how can we start to spot these hidden scripts in other people? Well, that is exactly where the animal behavior map comes into play. It's basically a framework. Think of it like a cheat sheet for decoding these really deep protective strategies we all have.
And listen, this is a really important point. This is not one of those personality tests, you know? This isn't about slapping a label on someone and sticking them in a box. No, it's a way to understand the super predictable ways people react when they feel stressed out. It's all about decoding their protective strategies, the stuff that's running completely on autopilot.
And it all boils down to this one simple question. A question the map helps us answer for ourselves and for the people around us. When you feel unsafe, how do you solve that problem? Turns out, pretty much everyone's strategy for handling what they see as a threat falls into one of 4 big buckets.
So here it is. This is the map itself. You can see the 4 quadrants, and each one is a core strategy. You've got some people who push threats away. We call that prevention. Then you've got others who pull back from them. That's removal. Some folks try to outsmart the threat. That's strategy. And finally, some move towards safety by connecting with others. Let's dig into each one. All right, let's kick things off with quadrant 1, prevention. This is the go-to strategy for people who want to create distance, to stop a threat in its tracks before it can even get close. You know the saying, the best defense is a good offense? That's pretty much their whole philosophy.
Now, even inside this one quadrant, you see different styles. You have the porcupine. They use sharp words, a prickly attitude. Basically, they're spikes to make sure nobody gets close enough to hurt them, even people with good intentions. Then you have the chihuahua. They use a lot of noise, a lot of aggression to try and intimidate people and create that distance. But here's the absolute key. That barking, it's not coming from a place of malice. It's coming from fear.
Okay, let's switch gears to a totally different approach, the removal quadrant. This one is all about getting away from conflict. When these folks feel unsafe, their gut reaction, their first instinct is to bail, either physically or just mentally. And just like before, there are a couple ways this plays out. Think about the turtle. A turtle can't run away, so what does it do? It pulls into its shell. For people, this can look like dissociation. They're there, but they've completely checked out mentally. Then you've got the rabbit, which is built for one thing: speed. Its entire strategy is to physically bolt from the situation, to avoid that conflict no matter what. The last 2 quadrants work a little differently. First up is strategy, where people use their brains to stay safe. Picture the wolf, always alert, constantly scanning for danger, analyzing every little pattern. Or think of the sly fox, using intelligence and stealth to outthink a problem.
And then there's the connection quadrant. Here, safety isn't in fighting or fleeing, it's in numbers. The sheep sticks with the herd because standing out is dangerous. And the puppy, well, the puppy uses innocence and vulnerability, not as a weakness, but as a brilliant strategy to make other people want to protect it.
So, okay, we have this map. That's great. But how do we, actually use it in real life? This is where we go from just theory to something you can apply that will literally change every single conversation you have from now on.
Think about it. Every time you talk to someone, it's like two separate histories, two completely different threat detection systems bumping into each other. And without a map like this, we're basically just flying blind, just guessing. But with it, we can actually calibrate how we talk to people. And the goal here isn't to be manipulative, not at all. It's about aligning with them. It's about communicating in a way that their nervous system registers as safe.
So here's the practical part. Here's how you do it. If you see those prevention behaviors, the porcupine putting its spikes up, their core need in that moment is to feel strong. So instead of arguing back, which just makes them even spikier, you just stay calm, you validate their strength. Now for someone in removal mode, like a turtle pulling into its shell, their core need is safety. So what do? You slow way down. You give them some space. Maybe you speak a little softer. With the strategy types, it's all about logic and control. They don't want your emotional appeals, they want data, they want to feel in control. And for the connection types, they just need to feel like they belong. So you offer inclusion, you give them reassurance. See? You're not trying to change who they are. You're just learning to speak their language.
And this really brings us to the biggest, most profound shift that this whole way of thinking gives us. It helps us break free from our default mode, that tendency to make snap judgments, and it points us towards something way, way more powerful.
This slide right here, this is it. This is the whole ballgame. Instead of asking what's wrong with them, we start asking what protected them. Every single behavior you find frustrating, especially when someone's under pressure, is just an echo of something that kept them safe as a kid. Those spikes, that withdrawal, that intense need to plan everything, it worked for them once. And just asking that one different question, it changes absolutely everything. And the cool thing is, the benefits are immediate. The moment you start seeing behavior as protection instead of personality, you just stop judging. You start to be able to predict how someone's going to react when things get tense. Fights and arguments suddenly become less about two people who hate each other and more about two different safety strategies clashing. And if you're a leader or just want to get along better with people, this is huge. You can guide people way more effectively because you're not constantly tripping their defensive wires by accident. But please remember this, it's so important. This is not a license to go around calling your boss a porcupine or your partner a turtle. That's not the point. The point is to understand the deep underlying architecture of how they figured out how to stay safe in this crazy world. It's a tool for decoding, not a weapon for labeling.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. Go on, right now, picture that one person in your life who you just find difficult. Maybe they're frustrating, maybe you just don't get them. Got them in your head? Okay. Now looking at them through this new lens, just ask yourself, what might that behavior be protecting them from? It's such a simple question, but man, it can open up a whole new universe of understanding.